Good morning, inspired Tennos. While doing the first take of this video, someone literally left a comment asking me if I could talk about Rivens. And I would love to, but I'm always a little bit worried when it comes to Rivens because of a group called the Riven Mafia. I'm not going to talk about why I don't like them. I'm just going to let you look it up for yourself. But all that I'm saying is you have to be a little bit careful because they do exist, okay? So just please keep that in mind and be careful when dealing with Rivens. Now let's take a look at this here. This is a Riven mod. It's a dual sword. This is a stat stick, so you would use this on Korra. This is pretty good, right? It has both critical damage and critical chance, as well as minus finisher damage. Finisher damage is irrelevant on a stat stick, therefore it's a good negative. Having a negative makes it so that your positives are more powerful. So how much could you sell this for? 1,000 maybe? Well, let me tell you, I've tried to sell this for 500 and I couldn't do it. Not that I'm actually interested in selling this for 500, but if I wanted to, I couldn't do it. So please keep this in mind as we move forward. Okay, so we're here on the spreadsheets. This is normally a luxury, but for this explanation, I absolutely do need them. I'm not gonna cover every example here. This is all of a dual sword, by the way, but with different desired outcomes. I'm just gonna cover the most relevant ones. You can always go ahead and take a look. It will be down in the description. So in this first example, we're trying to get two specific stats and nothing else. So this would be critical chance and critical damage, as that is the only two stats that's acceptable on a dual sword. So this is getting one of two options that you want out of 16. And once you've gotten that, then there's only one thing you would want left. So that's 1 out of 16. So it's 13% multiplied by 6% multiplied by 25%, which is the chance of getting two stats. Because if we get 3 stats on a Riven, obviously we can't get the 2 we want. And in this case, it would actually be better to get 2. So the chance of success, which is hitting these one after another, is 0.2%. Or 1 out of every 512th try. Alright, the profit is only 100, which means that the amount of profit on average per roll is 0.2. Now that's only if we try for this stat, and obviously you can try for multiple at a time. Don't worry, I will cover that in the end. So here is 3 out of 4 stats plus a negative. So same idea, right? So there's 4 options out of 16, and then it's 3 out of 16, 2 out of 16, and then this is 3 out of 16 again because this is a negative. So again, we have to get 3 stats and a negative before we can get the stats and a negative we want. So we have the 25% here as well to prevent these from overlapping. Chance of success is 0.03%. or 1 out of every 3,641. Profit is only 300. Even though you can get a really good Riven out of this, it doesn't really matter if the Riven is really good. All that matters is the market, and if it is so saturated that people don't want these, well, then you're basically screwed. So moving on to this next one. I get it all the way over here. So this is the big one. This is 3 out of 16, 2 out of 16, 1 out of 16, and 3 out of 16. And the chance of actually getting 3 stats on a negative. Again, the success rate here is 0.007%. It's tiny. The profit is huge. And I have sold one of these for 4,300. So it is possible. It took 2 weeks, but I just left it up on warframe.market and eventually did sell. So no opportunity cost there. The value of each roll here, however, is still only 0.3 platinum. Because it takes 40,564 tries to get this. That is absurdly high, but not untrue. It's just not very likely to hit all of these exact chances one after another. And therefore these perfect or godly Rivens are so incredibly rare. The price is this high because there are people who are willing to pay an insane amount for these Rivens, but at some points in time they are simply not available because they are so rare. Let's move over here. So over 40,564 rolls. And remember, we can get all of these at the same time. So if we just sell them when we get them and then profit, then we will get this amount of profit for each of these different rolls as we go along, assuming that we sell all of them, which, let's be honest, that would be kind of time consuming, especially with the two good stats. Then we would get 60,461 total. Now you might be thinking 60,000 platinum, 500, that's a huge amount of platinum. Not really, but it is a very large amount. What's the drawback here? Well, you have to roll it 40,564 times. So the average profit per roll is only 1.1 platinum. And that means that 3,500 kuva is only worth 1.1 platinum. Now here's a potential kuva farm. Perhaps arbitration is a little bit better, but ultimately doesn't matter because it is not 10 times better, and it would have to be in order for this to be even slightly worth it, and even then it would not be a great farm. So one steel essence is worth 667 kuva because you get 10,000 kuva for 15 steel essence in the bundle. So let's say we can get 60 steel essence per hour. This is assuming that you're getting 4 at a time, so you have a resource booster. And it's assuming that the acolyte spawns every 4 minutes, which is the earliest they can spawn and not the earliest that they will spawn. And also this is assuming that you can kill them instantaneously. With all of that in mind, we can make 40,000 an hour, which comes out to 13 platinum. It's horrendous. This is one of the worst farms in the game. Do not roll Rivens. You might be tricked into thinking that it's worth it, and you might get something like, I don't know, a redeemer with critical chance and critical damage and think, wow, I got really lucky. But the reality is that that's not a good riven. There's just too many of those. I mean, it is a good riven, but there's just too many of them. It's not something which people are buying, and if there is no market for it, then the prices will just be destroyed. That's how it works. The value of it and the odds, it doesn't matter. All that matters is how much it's worth to people, and it's pretty close to zero with these. Rivens is a luxury, and the people who can afford Rivens to begin with don't want these half-assed Rivens. They want the best of the best, and the only place where they can get the best of the best is usually on the bazaar or in trade chat looking for these godly Rivens. That's all that matters, but they are so rare and impossible to get that chasing after them is a really bad idea. And this really brings me into the point that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. The worst thing you can do as a trader is assuming that you will get lucky. You should assume that you will get unlucky every time, because if you do that, then you will be seeking out the safest and most reliable and consistent ways of making platinum. And like in the long term, that's the only place where you're gonna make any reasonable amount. Now, if you are insanely talented at riven trading, you can flip them in chat and make a good amount of overall profit. But you, first up, you need a very large amount to even begin doing that, because you will have to spend sometimes 2,000 or 3,000 on a riven. And the second part is that if you don't know what you're doing, if you look at something and say, oh, that's a good negative, but it's not, you could very well throw away 1,000 platinum. So you want to be careful, all right? And let me tell you, I couldn't do it. Not that I wasn't able to make profit in trade chat flipping Rivens. I were able to do it, but just not fast enough. You have to be really, really, really good to beat the market in a way that makes sense. Because if you could simply have farmed out items faster, then there's no reason to sit in trade chat. And if you have that much platinum, why not just invest it, right? So that's my take on it. I hope this was somewhat helpful to you. I might actually do a video where I try and break down how to do trade chat with Rivens, but it's such a insane and complex topic, and I also don't want to put the idea into your head because it's so dangerous. It's so easy to lose everything doing this. Anyways, I guess I'll see you in the next one.